Hey, what's up? My name is PJ, and you are listening to the Music Photo Podcast, session number 10. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of the Music Photo Podcast. My name is PJ Pantelis. I'll be your host for today. You can find me on Twitter at PJPantelis. Today, we are very lucky to be joined by Markus Ravik. Markus is a Brisbane-based music photographer, and in terms of the live music scene, he's right up there with the best. He works for and shoots for more publications than any other one person that I can think of. He's got his finger in a whole lot of different pies, and he's certainly got a lot of respect internally within the music photography community. He's even won awards for his live pictures, which is a lot more than most of us can say. But I'll let his work and his interview do the talking. You're going to want to stick around until the very end of this episode as we discuss topics such as the importance of metadata and correctly tagging your photos, spreading out your publication work through as many outlets as possible to get the best gigs, the benefit of working a second job and the amount of pressure that it relieves from you, and past and present trends in music photography editing. As always, the show notes can be found at bigpantsphoto.com/podcast. I hope you enjoy it. And for now, here's my session with Markus Ravik. Markus, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. I know you've had a late night by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's fine, man. It's my own fault for staying out.
What were you shooting last night?
It was Charlie XCX
Oh,
at
cool.
the Met. So yeah, it was pretty cool. She was there
Yeah.
with TK Maita. It's always fun.
Oh, nice. So what have you been working on lately?
I've just had a few shoots, I guess. I had what did I have? I had Peaches night before last,
Okay.
and then last week I had a few others like Silverstein. I'm just looking here. ASAP Ferg, which is really cool. One of his side shows for Groove in the Moo.
Yeah, rad.
But yeah, that's about it. Just doing shoots for different publications.
I saw Ferg and I saw Peaches at Grooven in Bendigo.
Yeah,
Very different, but both very engaging shows. Peaches was full on, like
yeah,
giant penises, giant vaginas on stage. How's that to shoot?
yeah. It was good. Like it was one of the few times I've actually stayed for the whole show, pretty much, because it was just insane watching all the stuff she brings on stage and the people and the dances and yeah, it was just cool. It was really good.
Yeah, nice, man. What publications you shooting for?
At the moment, I shoot for the music primarily, so
Yeah.
they're the ones I get most through. I shoot for a website called Triple A Backstage. There's one called Speaker TV, one called Amplify, which used to just be called Australian Musician Network.
Yeah.
And that's about it. And last night was for a Casual Band Blogger, but that was a one-off.
Okay, so you've got a few connections in the publication department.
Yeah, yeah. Like last night, I was just helping someone out who couldn't make it, so it's not. Yeah, it's not something I would have chosen, but it was good fun. It was a really good gig. Yeah, it was really good.
Do you find having your finger in so many different pies helps you to get those bigger shows that you really want to do? Because I know if you only shoot for one, obviously there's a lot of people that want to do those bigger, better ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition now, and it's becoming a lot more accessible for more people.
Yeah.
And as like certain publications, like the music that used to pay, were a lot more selective with their photographers, but now that they don't pay, they have to just take on everyone because they struggle to find people some weeks to fill shows. So
Yeah,
they take
right.
on more and more, and then you get these people that yeah, you just get a lot of competition. Like they won't always take all the, I guess, the crappy shows to sort of build up to the big ones. They just want to they just want to shoot, the big names and stuff. So
Everyone wants to do the stadiums right off the bat.
I know, yeah, and it's not that fun. Like the bigger shows are great, but you're usually shooting, back at the sound desk. You're getting the same sort of photos as everyone else. Like I have a lot of fun at the smaller shows. So I prefer, like, I do a lot more smaller ones than the big ones, to be honest,
Okay.
lately.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
but yeah, that's only like a recent change, I guess. Like I used to always strive for those big ones, and then after doing a few, I was like, oh, this is it's great to say that you shot these people, but it's not that exciting, I guess.
It's not as fulfilling as maybe some of the smaller shows can be.
Yeah, like it's really cool when you get a response from a band directly saying they liked your photos, and you're not going to get that with, you know, Kanye West or
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah,
So I
especially
mean,
if there's 20 other guys in the pit with you, guys or girls.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. So you obviously shoot a lot of live music, and I can vouch. I've been going through your portfolio this morning. You're very, very good at it. Is there any money to be made doing this, or do you have to have other streams of revenue as a working photographer?
I do have to have other streams of revenue, but I work at JB Hi-Fi,
Yep.
but I only do about 20 hours. That's over
Okay.
3 shifts,
Yep.
and that's more than enough to get by. And then through it's mainly just been the music that has led me to other connections there because they've been around for so long. They used to be Time Off or Drum Media,
Yep.
and they've led me to a lot of paid work through other things. Like some of it's been music related, so I've done like a few shoots for labels, and they always pay.
Okay.
Even if you're just there shooting a show, which anyone else is doing, they'll still pay you for it. And I do food now for them, like just a bit of food photography. They do a quarterly magazine that comes out,
Yeah. Right.
like a pub grub guide, it's called, and
Yeah.
so that pays. That pays okay,
Yep.
and yeah, just scattered work for um, sort of touring companies that they got me onto, which is paid, which I wouldn't have even known who to contact if they hadn't put me forward. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, but a lot of it's all free. Other than that, a lot of it's free.
Yeah. Even
Yeah,
because I think I've noticed that you do work for example, the festivals themselves. Do you shoot for?
yeah, I have. Yeah, so Soundwave, I shot for them.
Yep.
Um, that wasn't, yeah, that wasn't paid. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy above us that organised the photographer's got some money.
Right.
I don't know, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't funneled down to us. But it was still just good because we had sort of a bit better access than the media photographers. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, it was cool. So it was still worth it. Like and it was still nice. Like yeah, I guess your photos. Uh, I know people like hate hearing this now, but like your photos get a lot more exposure shooting for the festival because everyone's going to look at the festival page to find photos
Ah,
of the
right. That's where
festival.
they're going to
You
go
know that
first.
yeah, they're not going to go to like they might go to Faster Louder or somewhere established like that or Triple J, but most people will just think of the festival first, the page there, and so my photos got seen by a lot more people than ever before by
Fantastic.
doing that. So yeah, it's good.
You mentioned before that you work a couple of days a week in retail.
Yeah,
I personally, last year I tried to do for a while. I tried to do photography full time, tried to live off band promos, and after 6 or 8 months, I ended up going back because to a retail job, and I currently
yeah,
work a couple of days in a retail job. But I have to say, like at first, I was kind of ashamed. I was like, it felt like I was coming back with my tail between my legs. But I have to say, working a couple of days a week in retail has honestly been the best thing for me creatively because it just takes a bit of the pressure off. Would you agree with that?
yeah. No, it definitely does. Like I feel like if I was trying to make a living out of this, and it would mean I'd have to do a lot of other jobs that I'm not as passionate about, like
Yeah.
photo jobs. I mean, and I'd probably end up hating it a bit. Like for me, I'm still so passionate purely about music photography, and it's not that bad working at like somewhere like JB. It's a pretty cruisy job, and it's pays quite well for the
Yeah.
hours I work. So I can't really complain. And I mean, it's just a reality for a lot of photographers now. Unless you do weddings, like corporate events,
Yep.
um, products like high end advertising, you're not going to make a living purely off it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I mentioned, my perception of working another job. A couple of days a week in retail has certainly changed, and if anything, I'm enjoying it more than ever now because I don't have to just hustle for every job, and I don't have to just hustle just to get something to bring the money in. So I actually think it's a good thing. If anything, I think it's a good thing because I don't have to take on jobs that I don't want to do.
Well, that's it. Yeah, no, it makes you stress less about how much you're shooting or what you're doing next.
Yep.
When the next pay, you just know that you no matter what, you can live week to week at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of photography background, like study? Have you studied after school or at school?
Yeah, I started in high school. I was at like one of the few sort of high schools around the area that still had a darkroom. So it was all film. It was only black and white because that's all
Right.
we could process.
Yeah.
So I did it for 2 years there, and then that piqued my interest in it. I wasn't before that. I wasn't interested at all, and I think I was just doing it as like a blow off subject. But I really enjoyed it, and then I enjoyed the whole process from developing your own film, printing it, enlarging it. So then after I left high school, I did another course at a college in Brisbane called Brisbane College of Photography and Art.
hmm
It's still around. I think it's just moved, but it's still in the city somewhere. And now I'm currently studying at Griffith.
Okay. What are you
Um,
studying now?
well, I'm doing photojournalism
Cool.
at their QCA, so
Yeah.
the College of Art. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You're Brisbane based currently. Did you grow
Yeah.
up in Brisbane?
No, I grew up down near Byron, so I was in a town called Alstonville, which is near Byron Bay,
Okay. When did you
and
move?
oh, like 8 years ago now, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been here since pretty much since I was old enough to move out.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's been a little bit of a recurring theme in some of these sessions that I've done. Do you think it's been really important to your creative career as a photographer to move to Brisbane to somewhat of a hub?
Oh, definitely. Like I couldn't do it from back down home, and I couldn't do it. I mean, I could have just been much smaller scale. Like I
Yeah.
know a few photographers from Byron and Lismore, and you see them at like the blues fests and Splendor, um, and they're still doing something during the rest of the year. I don't know what, but they still photograph a lot of music. But um, yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I could move out of Brisbane now. If I even moved to Sydney or Melbourne, I wouldn't know where to start. I'd be back at square one. So
Right.
it's hard, but I like it here. I like Brisbane. It's nice. Yeah.
I actually really love Brisbane. I'm from Melbourne. I've
Yeah.
lived here my whole life, but Melbourne's cool. It's a bit cold. Sydney's
Yeah.
nice. It's just a bit too busy. Brisbane
Yeah.
is a nice in between. It's nice weather and it's not too busy. And I have a special place in my heart for Brisbane.
Well, yeah, exactly. It feels more like a big town than a city, a capital city. It's not. I like it. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So back to shooting for your publications, and I guess this applies to mainly the larger shows.
Yeah.
Is there ever a chance, or do you ever get your photos licensed, or are they largely used without your permission?
Uh, they do sometimes get used without permission, and I don't watermark my images
Yeah.
at all. I don't believe in that because it's just going to end up getting cropped out. If someone wants to use it, they'll use it. But I do like if anyone bothers to check, like all in the metadata, all my info's there, and I've gotten work from, I guess, even if someone uses it without permission, if someone's actually interested enough to know who took it and they know to look that up, they can see my details and contact info in there, and
In the
you know,
metadata?
yeah, because
Oh,
you can you
really?
can you can tag it into your metadata. You can write whatever you want in there, and so if I know a few other photographers that do that. Like one of the girls from Faster Louder, she got a paid job for the Rolling Stones when they were here,
Wow.
purely because they found her photo, liked it, and just yeah looked at the metadata and saw her contact details, and
So if
so
you've posted a JPEG somewhere for the music or one of the other blogs,
yeah.
if that's like downloaded and uploaded and downloaded and uploaded, does that still retain the metadata?
It does, as long as it's not screenshotted. So unless someone like just takes a screen capture of it, and then re-uploads it like that, um, it'll still maintain. Yeah, it sticks in there. Or unless someone strips it purposely, like you can delete the metadata, but it should always be there.
I've actually never
Yeah.
thought of that, so I've just written that down, and I'm going to start doing that from now on. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like, if I guess the right people know how to find that information, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that if they'd really want to find out the person that took this photo, if it impresses them that much, they can find it like that.
Okay, cool. Well, I
Yeah.
think I've got some sort of default metadata happening from Lightroom, but I certainly haven't put in any time to try and optimize it. So I'm going to have a look at that straight after this.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Um, what separates a good live photo from a bad one?
Um, oh, I don't know.
It's a tough one to hit you with, but
Yeah.
when I look at your photos, I see, compared to some other people that I've seen in the past, when I look at your photos, I see a big moment about to happen.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get that big moment, you've got that emotion and that anticipation happening as it's about to happen. So it's like the photo's telling a story. Is that a fair thing to say about your photos?
Yeah, yeah, no, I guess it's like I try to time it. Like, I think coming from shooting film, I don't like, you always hear a lot of other shooters, like I can hear with my earplugs that I have, I can hear all the small noises around me, like because they're quite good, and I hear people just like firing like hundreds of photos like
Yeah.
on burst, and I try to time it a bit more, mainly so I got far less editing to do,
Yeah.
but also I think just from having a bit of a film background, I'm used to not burning through shots like that. So,
Right.
and I don't know, it's just I don't know what makes me. It's hard to say. I don't know what makes me pick those moments, but you just see something and you just hit the shutter. Like when you see when you anticipate something's going to happen. So
Do you obviously that would become easier if you knew the band or artist, I'm assuming?
yeah, like it's been really useful. I've found because only recently I've started shooting a few AAA shows for the band
Okay.
and talking to them, or even talking to like the lighting tech. There'll be moments where they'll tell you exactly, where you should be, what's going to happen, because a lot of it is so, I guess, much more choreographed than you think. Like even the spontaneous moments that you think happen, it's done on every show
Okay, yeah.
at the same time in the same song. So like there's a shot I got of Illy um, on his tour, like where everyone lit him up with their mobile phones,
Oh, I saw that
and
photo. I loved it.
yeah, I shot him like from behind, and he told me he's like, you have to be right behind me. Don't care about you being on stage. Just get right behind me, like at this song, at this moment, like in the song. And I was like, yeah, yeah, cool. He didn't really tell me what was going to happen, but the lighting tech told me later on. He said, "Oh, we'll get all everyone's phones to light him up," um, and yeah, so that was. There's no way I would have got that shot without being warned,
Yeah.
because it was only for a moment where he had everyone do that. So it was really cool. So you do get, yeah, I guess insider some sort of knowledge by um, yeah, by sort of talking and working with the bands directly. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's interesting that you took it there because I kind of meant it in the perspective of if you're, even if you don't necessarily know the band personally, if you know the songs and you know the peaks and the falls, the crescendos of the song, you know when to anticipate something's going to happen.
well, yeah, definitely. Like I got a friend, Charlie, who I met at Charlie Hardy, who I met at Falls, and he's so good at like he's only got one camera, but he carries his lenses, and swaps them. He's mainly shoots on primes, and he would like I would just see him run off and like swap to like a really wide lens when I'm shooting something fairly narrow, and I don't know why he's doing it, but it's because he's listening and he's actually knows what's coming from the sound
Oh,
or
right.
like from the song. I like see I don't like I listen to a lot of music, but when I'm photographing, I guess I zone out to it a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't, yeah. Whereas he just knows to anticipate that, and it was cool. Like he taught me quite a bit when I met him at Falls, like about that sort of stuff. Like he would just know to anticipate that sort of stuff and get some really cool shots because of it. But yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you obviously shoot a lot of the bigger festivals that come through.
Yeah.
What sort of agreement do you have with those? Um, I mean, with those sort of shooting arrangements, a lot of those are camping ones, and a lot of them require that you have to travel. Is that
Yeah.
sort of something that you do for the love of it, or do you get some help with some of those costs?
No, it's all out of pocket. I mean, the camping gets included
Yep.
for anything that's got camping. They include it.
Hmm.
Um, except Blues this year. This was the first year where they didn't offer us camping. So, it's a 5-day festival, but they said, oh, I think you got some sort of discount on camping tickets, but we just stayed at a cabin nearby.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, all the others will include it. So they'll cover the cost as much as they can. So like even Falls was really good. They gave you camping and they also, you got access to like the artist area where the food, so you got access to their sort of buffet, which was a bit nicer
Nice. Yeah,
and cheap.
yeah.
Um, so that was a really well organized festival. And Splendor, this will actually be my first year doing it, but I did apply to do it for them, and they would have paid, but it still would have only paid about $300 for the entire thing, which would barely cover, when you're buying like festival priced food
Yeah.
and drinks
From the
and
fancy
travel.
food trucks.
Yeah, exactly. It'd probably just cover my weekend there. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's yeah, always out of pocket every time I do one, but it's not too bad.
But
Yeah.
obviously, the value that you receive goes beyond monetary. This is still your passion, and as much as it is a job, it's still your hobby and something you love doing. So it's obviously still worth it for you.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't do it if I hated it or actually was annoyed about these sort of things. Like
Yeah.
you sometimes hear other photographers always complaining about how much it's changed and I guess how there's no money in it. I'm like, well, if you're not passionate about it, why even waste your time
Why are
doing
you in
it?
it?
Like, yeah, I mean, do something else because it is an expensive hobby. Like even just maintaining all your gear. Like I've had lenses, I've dropped one lens and smashed it. I've got another lens that's about to die now, and it's, I've not even in all the years of shooting, I've probably barely made enough money to replace one of them.
Yeah.
Really, like so, it's not. It is an expensive hobby, but you just do it because of the passion.
How important is the gear to what you do?
Uh, it's tough because I mean, I've got a friend that he still uses. Oh, he might have changed now, but he until very recently he would still use kit lenses because
Right.
he couldn't see the value in like a expensive lens. But
Yeah.
uh, he sh I shouldn't say who he shoots for, but yeah, no, he he he's changed now. I think he mostly uses like nicer primes and stuff, but I think only for our work it's a little bit more important because you need a fast lens, one that's got a very low sort of minimum aperture. So if it's like a low light, you can still manage without struggling to get a
Yeah.
usable photo. But other than that, I think it doesn't really matter what you use. Like it's the photographer, it's the person that makes the photo, not the gear.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think what we do is one of the few fields where it matters a little bit that you need like a fast lens. So,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Like camera wise, I don't think it really matters too much. I mean, I see like people get awesome photos just as the basic like 50 mil 1.8 and crop camera
Yeah.
sensor camera. So I mean, it doesn't really matter.
And I
And I
guess,
don't.
sorry,
Sorry,
man,
you
go
go.
on.
I was just gonna say, and I never judge. Like I try to never judge what people are using in the pit. I won't judge, their what they're doing until I see their photos. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess also as well, the better the show that you're shooting, the higher the production, the easier it is on the gear.
that's the
If you're
thing.
shooting
Yeah,
in darkness, obviously you need some fast primes, or
yeah,
you need a full frame body. But if you're shooting a nice lighting rig, big stage, whatever, you can probably very easily use a crop sensor body with a kit lens.
well, yeah, exactly. Like I even for some bigger shows where we've had to shoot at the back, I've because I've got a 5D Mark III,
Yeah.
and but I've got a mate's. He's got a 7D, and I borrow that, which is a crop. and I've sometimes borrowed that for the bigger shows just so you get a bit more sort of like reach, I guess,
Okay, yeah,
a bit more zoom, and
effective reach or whatever.
yeah, and it just it doesn't yeah it doesn't phase me, and I'll use like a cheaper uh but a longer lens because it's the lighting and the production so much better. You can get away with
The
yeah
F5.6 or something.
yeah 5.6 or yeah worse even, but yeah it's fine.
Yeah, nice. And well, you mentioned that you have a pretty solid grounding in film photography. Do you ever shoot
Yeah.
gigs on film still?
Yeah. So I used to have two 5Ds, like a Mark II and a Mark III, that I took to festivals, and the Mark II was getting uh, a bit worn. It's because it had about 100,000 shots through it. So I
Yeah, right.
sold it, and then my second body now is actually a film body.
Oh, cool.
So when I'm shooting, uh, usually my wider body is a film one, and I really enjoy it. Like I shot about 4 or 5 rolls of film at Blues Fest. But I rarely like use those photos anyway. Like sometimes I get some really good ones, but they're ready too late for the publication, so
Yeah,
they're
of course.
just for me to keep. But it's cool having that because no matter what, your digital files can always get corrupt or get lost, even if you back up multiple times. But your film's always going to be there unless you lose it. But
Okay,
it's
interesting.
always you've got that hard copy, so it's cool to have that.
Yeah.
So so nearly at every bigger show where the lighting allows it, I'll be shooting film and digital. So yeah.
Has has having those limitations of starting with film and being proficient in shooting film, understanding it and such, has having those limitations helped your digital shooting as well?
Yeah, it does. It makes you um I guess it makes you a lot faster at calculating like because I shoot on all manual, so you get I guess a bit better at working out your settings, or you get better at reading what settings you will need
Mm-hmm.
before you have to start shooting. I don't know, like it's yeah, it's a tough one, but I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, in terms of just the people you've met and the publications you work for and where you're at now with your photographic career, can you think of an inflection point or like a maybe a chance or you were given or a person you met that's really kind of set you on the right path?
Um, I really think like where it started getting um, taking off a bit more for me was meeting the editor at the music,
Okay.
because it was the first time where usually these other publications you just email them and they're like, yeah, great, you're on board, we'll send you a mail out. But Steve, he actually wanted me to come in and have an interview, and it was just really nice meeting him, and he's just so well connected but also so friendly, and he's gotten me jobs at like a lot of paid jobs at sort of for Unified or Warner,
How cool.
and there's no way I could have even known where to start without knowing him. So yeah, that was probably the main turning point.
Does he shoot as well?
No, he's a writer, so he does the reviews a lot of the time if he has to.
Yep.
But he's just the main editor at the music for Brisbane. So but I guess he's just been in the industry for so long. He just knows everyone, and he can get anything sorted last minute, which is really cool. And
Ace.
like, for example, Justin Timberlake, that show, the 2020 tour, no one got approved for that, and he still somehow got me a pass.
Oh, cool.
And I'm still really so I was like the only photographer in the pit except for
His personal
uh,
one, probably.
yeah, yeah. So there's me and one girl from Curio Mail, but there's always the news shooters there. But it was really amazing. Like that made me realize how well I guess connected he is, and it was really cool doing that for him. So
That sounds like a really cool relationship you've got because I feel like so often the editors of these blogs shoot themselves. So, uh, of course they have all these connections and these great sort of business skills, but they are likely, of course, as we all would, to put themselves up for the great gigs, and then you might get whatever else filters through.
no, yeah, I've heard that about certain publications. Yeah, but Steve's a bit He'll pick like he'll review shows that he really likes. He'll review them himself, but they're usually his tastes. Like because he's a bit older. He's not old, but he's a bit older.
Yeah.
His tastes differ from everyone else, so it never really gets in the way of any of the other writers. I assume. Like I don't know what um what sort of taste most of the writers have about the
Yeah.
music. Yeah,
Yeah, nice man.
yeah.
Um, what sort of shooting would you want to do more of, and where is your business headed in the next 5 years?
It'd be great to start touring with bands. I know that's what everyone always says and they want to do,
Yep.
but I feel like I would be pretty good at it. Like
Hmm.
I know it would be really hard. Like I know how hard it is and how much money it costs for most touring photographers to actually tour. Um, but I would still like to try it,
Of
one day.
course.
It's just I haven't found a band that I'm, I guess, comfortable enough with to ask because it's a big ask
Yeah, of
on a
course it
band
is.
now because they don't need it as much as they used to. They don't need that because you've got so many people taking photos at each show, or even like just iPhone photos do for most of the stuff. Like, so they don't. It's hard to sort of sell that to a band and take on that extra cost. But
Yeah. And I mean, also, from my perspective, from the outside looking in at your work, you're, I would think that you would be fussy as well in that you would only tour with a certain type of band because your work is at a level where you're not going to jump in the van with some random up and coming, local kids doing a Melbourne to Sydney trip. You want to do a certain level of work. I'm sure that goes through your head as
yeah,
well.
I guess it does. Like without, it makes me sound like uppity, but
You can let me say it
uh,
about you. You don't have to say it. I said it.
no, it's just you're right, I guess. Like I wouldn't even know how to spot. Like I've got other friends that are so good at spotting those bands that they know are going to become big, and they're getting close with them, now. But I
Oh,
can't.
like spot them on the way up. You mean?
Yeah, they can see the
Okay.
incline that's about to happen, so
Yep.
they get in with them. Do some promos, maybe do like a part of their tour with them, because they know it will benefit later on. But I guess I'm just bad at spotting that. Like, um, but by the time there's a band that I would want to work with, they don't know me from a bar of soap, and
Right. And they've
you
probably
know you
already
got,
got a guy.
exactly you got to be friends with these people. It's not they don't just take on like a tour photographer is a pretty intimate thing. You're like you want to be good friends with this person, and not you're not just going to take on some stranger because they've said, oh, I take good photos. Let me spend the next few weeks with you. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
It really is an intimate thing to spend
yeah,
so much time every day with them. I mean, if it's a smaller tour, you're going to be sleeping on the floor next to them.
yeah,
You're going to be probably driving the van as well.
yeah,
You've
exactly.
got to have a bit of trust there. One really interesting thing that Max said in the session I did with him was on tour, there's pros and there's bros.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting because
yeah,
obviously the bros that come on tour, the friends of the band and family members,
mm.
they provide another sort of value. Their friendship is more valuable than a photographer who can really shoot but can't hang, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like that's what I mean, and I see you can always usually spot the tour photographers when you're at a show because the ones I see just they look like another band member that's like one of the friends with a
Right.
camera.
Yeah.
Um, like except for people like Max, who's a lot more professional. Um, you have to have a bit of both,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. Like you don't just want to be that awkward guy that just tags along.
Hmm.
You got to be one of them. And I mean, when I was asking one of my friends' bands, Dead Letter Circus, I went to
Oh
high
yeah,
school with
just
one
a
of
little
their old
friends
members.
band, Dead
Oh
Letter
no, well,
Circus, whatever.
no, no, the member that I knew, he's actually since left. Like
Oh
Tom,
right.
I went to high school with Tom Skirl,
Cool.
and he once told me like they had a guy that they used to take on tour, but they really just, I shouldn't be saying this, but I guess they didn't get on because he felt like his only job was to take photos, and he says when you're on tour, you got to you got to do everything. Like
Yeah.
you got to help out, load in, load out. And he's like, man, if you can just show a band that you can actually be really useful on tour too, like help with setting up the shows, help with loading in, loading out, and
Yeah, going to
just
take
do
a
all
seat
the
at the merch table every now and then.
yeah, like just do more than just stand around with your camera and taking photos. And he's like, then you'll have a band that will appreciate you and want to take you on tour. Like if they can justify, you taking up a seat with you doing any other stuff like that, it really helps. So that was like good advice when you told me that. I never even thought about that. And that he said, yeah, if you do that, you're gonna make yourself more valuable because everyone's going to carry their own on tour. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost the sort of mindset. I'm not sure if you've ever done any assisting work for someone else, but you've basically just got to you've got to think of what needs to be done before they realize it needs to be done. You just got to
yeah,
help out wherever you can to make their life easier, which will come around to make your life easier.
yeah, exactly. Like I've done a little bit of assisting, and I think assisting is a really good way, and it's underrated too. Like it's a really good way for someone to learn. Like you'll learn more assisting for a few months than you would doing like a 3-year uni degree. I
Yeah,
think,
right.
but people just seem to hate the idea of being an assistant now. They want to be their own photographer. So but I
Yep.
think it's really valuable. Like if I knew where to start, I would do more assisting work with bigger photographers for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
If you if you had your time again, would you go the same route? Would you study again photography from a tertiary perspective?
Um, I probably wouldn't study. Like I should say that right now I'm deferred. Like I'm still planning to go back,
Yep.
just take a lighter study load. But
Hmm.
um, I don't think it's really split. Some people feel like it needs to be studied, but a lot of people feel like you're better off just getting industry experience. And a lot of it you can just learn yourself now. There's a lot of good websites, and if you just got to have the drive to teach yourself. Like
Yeah.
like with uni, I guess you've got this regimen. You have to be there, and you got a job to do while you're there. So I guess if you got the drive to just teach yourself, you can just learn without going to without studying it formally.
Yeah.
So
Depends on
yeah,
your personality, right?
it does. You got to just be driven to better yourself with it. So a lot of the like really successful photographers I know that like this is outside of music, just that actually do commercial work and stuff. A lot of them either dropped out or never even studied um, photography. So
Interesting.
yeah,
A little bit of a tangent here. Do you play music yourself? Were you or are you a musician yourself?
no, no.
Oh, you must
I,
be one of the only music photographers that isn't.
no, I tried playing guitar uh, when I first started getting into music. It was funny that my same friend Tom, he lent me his guitar to learn on, just like an acoustic one, and I don't know, I just got too frustrated. Like I'm just impatient, I guess, and I gave it up after maybe like 2 or 3 months. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so no, I don't play anything.
I have this theory that, oh, well, not a theory. I reckon 95 to 99% of my music photographer friends were or are musicians. And the way I kind of view the study photography or learn yourself debate is when you're a muso and you learn yourself, you learn how to teach yourself. But if you take
Yeah,
lessons from the start, you kind of have someone else's perspective in your mind and you find it hard on your own to teach yourself. Whereas I
yeah,
find some of my friends that have studied photography, they are technically excellent, but they're also possibly closed minded to some non traditional ways of shooting, if you know what I mean.
yeah. No, I get what you mean. Like there's a handful of very valuable things that I took away from studying photography
Yeah.
that I never would have thought of. But at this stage, I think I've definitely, yeah, I feel like a lot more of what I do or what I like my habits or what I've learned is just self-taught.
Learnt
So
in the field.
yeah, yeah, just from repetition, practice. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, how how do you describe your editing style, and how's it changed over the last couple of years?
Uh, well, I was really late to the Lightroom
Yeah.
sort of party. Like I used to use just Photoshop only
Okay.
until a couple of years ago, maybe. Because I just didn't understand Lightroom. Like it was just baffling to me. But once I started using Lightroom, it sped up my editing a lot more because you can do whole batch of photos just so much faster, and it opens you up to so many more creative. Like I guess you got all these VSCO filters that a lot of people use,
Yep.
which I use too. Like nearly every one of my photos at its base is some sort of VSCO like preset, but I've just changed it a lot to try and give it my own look. So
Make it
I've
your
got
own. Yep.
yeah, so I've maybe got like a dozen of my own presets now. So I'll just start with those and tweak them depending on the show. But I feel like I look back at some of my old photos and I'm just like, oh, they're so over edited. Like I would love to be more like a bit less heavy handed with my editing because I feel like I'm on the verge of being a little bit over the top sometimes, or
Yeah.
like a bit too I don't know how to say it, like stylized for the time. Like you're gonna look at these photos in 5 years and just be like, oh, it's just that was just a fad. It's it's gone now. Like that look just looks bad, but
Yeah.
um, it's I don't know. It's hard. I think I verge um on the edge of being a bit maybe too edited, if you know what I mean. So
Well, I remember, particularly when I was trying to learn Photoshop, the hardest thing to get into my head was where do you stop? Because you can just keep going and going.
yeah, exactly. Like I I sometimes I still pull like certain photos into Photoshop to like even remove and completely change the photo if there's something distracting. I'll clone brush it out or heal it out, and people give me a lot of crap for that because they feel you're there to document the event. You're lying by changing that. But I'm like, well, I'm not shooting for a newspaper. I'm not bound by these the normal like ethical standards that I guess photojournalists would be. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make the photo look nicer. That's all. So
It's also your interpretation of what it's supposed to look like, your interpretation of what you've seen and what you want to portray as well. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's yeah, it doesn't bother me. Like I've copped some flack for it. Like there'll be a few photos you'll see where I've just it'll look like they're just against sort of black, and that wasn't the case. There's a lot of distracting things in the background, but I've just removed and more darkened them down. So
okay,
I mean,
I think I know what you mean. Is that one of the Lord photos that you have on your
oh no,
website?
that one she was actually just like she was against just a big curtain,
Oh,
but I
right.
was like I darkened it down a bit so you couldn't see the ripples in the curtain, but I didn't remove anything. I guess it's like burning and dodging with film. Like people have always done it.
Sure.
So yeah, I just made it darker around her, so she's just got a very heavy like vignette right around her. So, but that one is edited. Or there's one of Dave Grohl uh, from the Foo Fighters concert. I think it's on my website too. And he's like just against black pretty much, but that wasn't like that. There was bits of the stadium behind him, and
Hmm.
but I just wanted to sort of isolate him, so I changed it a little bit. And that's just for my like the publications version would be different because that's just for them. Like so, it has to be a bit more truthful. But yeah,
Yeah. And also, you got to get it out quick for them, I guess.
well, yeah, I'm not going to spend like hours on one photo when I'm not getting paid and they just need a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about for a minute some of the trends in editing and live music photography. So, for example, a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, everyone was doing light trails, and then after that, it was like, absolutely slam that clarity, really contrasty, gritty images. It seems to be these days all about like the film emulations, the visco and the post grain and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where where are we headed?
Um, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm worried that yeah, people are getting a bit too caught up with Visco now. I don't know if it'll pass, like because it does look really nice, and I think
Yeah, it does.
and but now people seem to be transitioning from Visco into real film, which is cool. So it's making film popular again because people don't want that fake film look. They want an actual, authentic film look. So
Yeah,
if it transitions back to that, I think I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that'd be good, but um, I think it would bring back a lot more serious photographers because there's a lot more money involved and time with film. But um, yeah, you do see a lot of bad editing out there still. But everyone goes through that phase. Like I used to be rubbish. Like I used to love that, shutter drag, light trail
yeah,
stuff like early on.
we all did.
Everyone did, yeah. I mean, but you see someone do it now, and it's just so out of place. But like photography just has trends like that. So I'm kind of hoping that Visco is just a trend. I don't know. Like but it seems it's become a lot more popular for a longer time than I guess anything else that I've noticed anyway.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
it. What
Yeah.
other do you look back on your photos and see any other of those sort of trends or any of those kind of tricks that have come and gone?
Well, most of my old stuff, I used to purely shoot black and white because I thought it was like I don't know, I thought it somehow made it stand out. I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy that only shoots black and white. But also, I was just rubbish at color balancing or like white balancing. So, um,
Interesting.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would
and
think black and white's harder, to be honest.
it can be like it's hard to make a good black and white photo. Like you see a lot of kind of bad ones, but I guess again it came from that film because I shot nothing but black and white film for years, so that's all I wanted to see my digital stuff look like. Um, but uh, there's a lot of people that will say, if you can't get rid of like a really bad color cast, you just make it black and white. It's just like the easy way out,
Yeah,
rather than spending ages trying to edit out a certain color. But so I guess that's changed a lot. Like I barely shoot black and white anymore.
hmm,
But now I look, and I've had people tell me that I do have seem to have a very like distinct look that doesn't change. So, and I guess that's a good thing as long as it doesn't get
absolutely,
boring.
that's a good
So,
thing.
yeah, I mean, it's nice to say that someone recognizes your photo because of how it looks, not just because they know you took it. But um, yeah, I just hope it doesn't go out of style or I don't get sick of it because I don't know where I'll go next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what I was going to ask next. I was going to say how it's a tough question, but how do you deliver a product that suits everyone's tastes? Obviously, that visco look, and I use the term visco loosely because I know everyone's got their own presets, but that sort of look is what we all like to see at the moment. That's what we're all appreciating and looking for. But how do you deliver something that's still to everyone's taste, but remains a little bit timeless? It's still going to be cool in a year or two.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, like about trying to. I feel like I'm right on the verge of being a bit too over the top that it will look. Um,
You look
not,
back on
not,
it.
yeah, like it won't look bad, but it'll just look old. Like it just won't look. It won't suit anymore in like a couple of years.
Okay.
So I try to always bring it back a bit to yeah, it's just something closer to like I used to always have this heavy fade that I'd put on everything. I thought that looked awesome, and now I know that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And like flattening like all the highlights and stuff a lot more. But um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like, sorry, I've drifted off.
That's okay,
I
man.
got distracted by a phone call. Someone calling.
Oh, good. It's a fine line.
Yeah,
Obviously, yeah, obviously there's a look that everyone wants to see. Like if you can't produce that, and I'm not saying yours look like everyone else's photos because they don't, but they certainly fit that style of what the elite are doing at the moment. And it's sort of like if you don't fall into that general look, then you're going to
yeah,
be left behind because you just
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
do you know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're right. Like that's exactly it, and like that's what influences me. I look at other photographers that are popular. I mean, you got some that have their really own nice look that doesn't that is a bit more timeless, like Toto Young
Yeah.
or Adam Elmakias even. Like I know people hate to hear him spoken of like highly as a music photographer or
Why though?
something.
Why?
I don't know why. Like I admire him. I think he's like the stuff he's done with his brand. Like he's made himself a brand. Like he's been really clever with it and with his clothing line now and like lens bracelets. He's made it work. Like he's found how to like sure I think he still lives at home, but I mean he still makes a living just out of his photography and his look, his photos. I find really timeless. Like I've never looked at one of his old photos and gone, oh,
That's a trend.
that's just a visco. Yeah, it's like he's got his own. Yeah, he's done it all from scratch. I think,
Yeah,
what I can
absolutely.
tell, and he's got a really nice look. So
It's funny with Elmer Geiss. Honestly, his name has come up in every single one of these episodes so far.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think the only reason that someone might exclude him from this sort of conversation or perhaps try and not mention him is because we all do love his work so much. And it's that hipster thing. It's like once everyone loves something, it's not cool to love that thing.
yeah. Like yeah, that's what like. Again, I was a bit late to even know who he was. Um, like it's gonna sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but like he started following me on Instagram,
Right.
and someone else who I guess someone one of my friends saw that he did that, and then they're like, "Oh, holy shit, this person's like, Adam Elmakai's actual photos." I'm like, "Who?" I didn't even know who he was like until like maybe like 18 months ago.
Yeah, right.
But now that I actually once I found out who he was, I've even like emailed him once or twice. I got a response back once, but I watched all his videos, all his like his blogs that he makes himself, and his
Yeah.
tutorials, and like yeah, like I learned a lot from him, like through those things, and so now I do admire him. But you're right, I feel like probably shortly after, I think I was finding out about him right around the time he was getting really really popular, and so now everyone just knows that name, and
Yeah, he's the man.
he is yeah, he's that guy that's just always on tour, nonstop. It's just his life, but. Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems like a really like I've never met him. Like I've been in the same pit as him a couple of times, but I know that he hates to be distracted when
Well,
he's
he's
trying
working.
to shoot. Like he's always so in the zone. You can see it when you see him there. But um, I've wanted to say hi and just like say thanks for I guess influencing me somewhat. But
Yeah,
yeah,
cool, man. Apart from Elmer Caius, is there anyone maybe on the next level that you're looking to reach? Is there anyone that you look up to and really admire from a music photography perspective?
well, there's Toto Young, who I mentioned earlier, who's a photographer in the States.
Yep.
He's been doing it forever, so he's quite like I look up to him. Like when I first started, that was probably one of the first photographers I discovered that did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, he was one of the first couple of guys I started following on Flickr as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's good. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram now. He's only very recently made an Instagram,
Okay.
and I follow him on there now. So yeah, I never got into Flickr, but Kane Hibbard,
Yep.
more locally, I like I admire all his portraits. Like he's very creative with his portraits. Like I've watched videos on him. Um, he does tutorials on some of the really complex portraits that he's done. Like he's done ones underwater, and um, yeah, he just puts in so much effort into a single band shoot.
I've never
Yeah,
heard of the tutorials. I'm actually going to look them up.
yeah, they're very brief. I think they're attached to. I don't even know if they're on his own channel or if they're part of an interview. But if you just look them up on YouTube, I think you'll find some of them.
Okay, they might
Um,
be done like on behalf of a blog or a label, do you mean?
yeah, yeah, like less of a tutorial, but he just explains how he got a certain image. So I guess he's still showing you, giving you insight into how he achieved some of his more like obscure and like interesting band portraits and stuff.
Yeah, cool.
So, but he's a fairly like I've only talk to him through email because he was the one that organised Soundwave for me. But he seems like a fairly, I guess, quietly spoken guy. So
Excellent.
yeah, but yeah, so I admire him. Um, but that's all I can think of right now.
Cool.
So
That's all up the
yeah,
top of your head. That's cool.
yeah,
There's not too much left for you, man. A few more questions, and then I
yeah.
want to be really respectful of your time because I'm sure you got a lot of edits to do.
No, I just just one, just the Charlie one,
Just
but
last
it's
night's show.
fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about shooting shows?
Um, I don't know. The hardest thing, I guess, what everyone says, but the lighting sometimes,
Yeah.
but also just the time that you invest. Like like right now, I'm like a bit run down. You can probably hear sound a bit sick, but um, it's just it takes up so much time, and uh, sometimes it's hard to see. I guess the light, like you're like, oh, there's, you feel like you get stuck, a bit of a rut doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see a very slow progression towards something bigger. But it's hard just to stay. You just got to stay driven, and it's hard to have that drive sometimes. And it's I don't know. That's probably really it. Like just making the time to still for other things in life than
Yeah.
going out to like 3 or 4 shows a week. So it's tiring, but yeah.
How do you stay excited creatively? Because I'm guessing you do a lot of three songs, no flash, and
Yeah.
a lot of it, if you're not shooting for the artist or the festival, a lot of it is limited in terms of the access. Do you have any personal projects or other things that you do to just keep sharp creatively?
Uh, I used to try and do it like when I was at uni. That showed me how important it is to give yourself a project each sort of each week if you could
Yep.
to keep your mind active. But I just do it through I guess a lot of visual research. Just watch videos on what other people do, or um, just purely looking at other people's photos. Like
Hmm.
I live on Instagram. I'm always on there, and uh, that's all. Because I just don't have time for much else. Like between work, study when I go back, and editing. Um,
Keeps you pretty busy.
it does, yeah. In my downtime, I just feel like doing nothing. Like I'll just watch. Like now that Netflix is a thing, that's like chewed up
Yeah.
so much of my days. But yeah, it's just yeah, just visual research, I guess, online is the biggest thing. But I like I'm always keen to go out for like a photo trip with other friends if they're doing something, and we'll just go exploring. But
Just go shoot for fun.
yeah, exactly. Just shoot for yourself and not worry about what you're shooting.
Nice. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I just remembered was you won a competition or a couple of competitions last year. Can you tell us a little bit about the pedestrian photo comp?
Oh yeah. I won yeah, their music category um last year, yeah, in November, and yeah, I got like a new 50 mm Canon lens, so I got a 1.2, which is nice.
How good?
Yeah, it's so good. I've never like it's my first L prime. I've never owned one, so it was nice having that. And I'm not sure if I'll keep it because I know there's better ones out there now. It's a bit old, but
Well, certainly better ones in terms of value for money. I'm sure the 51 too really it still
well,
holds up, but it's a big expensive hunk of
yeah, it's
glass.
amazing. That's what I keep telling people. People give me crap for selecting because I had a choice and I chose that lens and I got shit for it. But I was like, well, I didn't pay for it. Like if I get that it's not, it's I guess not a great lens if you take into account how much they charge you for it
Yeah.
still, compared to like the Sigma Art series and stuff. But when the cost comes out of it, it's still a really nice lens. Um, but yeah, no, I won that. I went to Sydney for it. I flew down just for the, so I flew down on the day off the awards night,
Yep.
and I stayed at my friend's house, Jared Leibowitz, who you had on here.
Yeah, I think it was episode 6 maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I stayed at his house in Newtown, and it was really cool. We walked around for the whole day, and he showed me around his suburb. And then I actually had to work at 9 a.m. the next morning. So
Oh
I was
no.
at the event all night, and then we kicked on at a few other places. And I think I got to bed at about, I don't know, like 2 or 3, and then I had to get up again at 4 for my flight. Or no, I had to get up at about 5 for my flight back so I could make it back to work on time. And then had to work the whole next day. So that was a struggle. But
That's rough as, man.
yeah, it was. I was so dead by the end of it. But I was at the same time like I think it would have been a lot worse if I hadn't won. I would have been
Yeah,
a much lower note. So
sure.
I think the buzz from that kept me going at work the next day. So
Because it was like a little exhibition or something. How did the awards night happen?
yeah, so each category I think had about 8 or 9 photos just displayed of their favorites. So the way it worked, it was um,
There were hundreds and hundreds to begin with, right?
so many. Yeah, like it was just crazy. Like, and it's still a confusing process. I don't fully understand it, but they part of it is judged by people. So you just got to try and get votes. And I think Jared had the most votes on his
Yeah,
photo.
Jared did really well.
Yeah, because he got sticky fingers to plug it, and um, whereas mine didn't get so many. I think mine got about 100, whereas his got about 1,400.
Yeah,
Um, but then that apparently only sort of made it shortlisted for the staff at Pedestrian. They would then pick their favorites.
yeah,
So apparently only one person in the office wanted my photo on the wall because there were a couple of other very similar ones of Kanye.
right.
Um, but they still thought mine was I guess, the better one. So this one girl, she apparently fought to have it get included. But then once it's in that shortlist, so the final like 9 or however many, then it's judged externally. So I don't know who does the final judging, but it's just a panel of people. So and that's how it won. So in the end, all the voting didn't really matter too much, I guess. But yeah, it was cool. It was really surprising. Like I actually thought Jared had it, and I was standing next to Jared when it got announced, and I was waiting for him to accept the award almost. But, yeah, it was very surprising. Yeah,
That's a nice moment, man.
yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
nice, for me, not for Jared.
Oh well, I'm sure he was really
No,
excited for you as well.
he was really happy for me. He was really nice, and he still let me stay at his house that night. So that was
Yeah,
fine.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just a super nice, humble kid. Yeah,
he is like
he's
it's crazy um, how humble and friendly he is, and he's just so young and he's done so much already. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. We spoke about it a little bit in the session we had together. Yeah, and he speaks very highly of you as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's nice.
Um, that's about it for today, man. I really appreciate you lending me your time. It's been just over an hour
Yeah.
by my clock, so I really appreciate your time this morning. The last thing that I wanted to say was, where can we send people to connect with you and check out your stuff online?
Really, just my website. So my website, if I might have to bring it up now. I haven't looked at it in ages, but I'm pretty sure it links to everything else.
Okay.
So, let me see. Yeah. So I do. There's like a contact page, and from there, like if anyone sends me a contact through there, like I get it straight away, and I'll reply pretty much straight away. And then down there, you can see all my Instagram and Twitter, and it's very very tiny little buttons, but you'll see it if you're looking for it.
Yep. So your website is markusravik.com.au with a K
Yeah.
in the Marcus and a K at
Yeah,
the end of
yeah,
Ravik.
yep.
Cool. I'll link it up in the show notes so no one misses out the spelling. And also your Instagram as well, because you're pretty active on there by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I try to put one up every day. Like I try not to spam people with garbage, but yeah,
What's your Instagram handle?
it's just my name as well, Markus Ravik.
Okay, cool. And I'll make sure to link it up in the show notes.
Yeah, cool.
Marcus, thank you so much. I really appreciate the chat this morning, and you've got some interesting perspectives that I'm sure a lot of people are going to find very valuable.
Okay, thanks, man.
I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Bye.
Catch you, fight. You made it to the end. Congratulations. And that's it for another episode of the Music Photo Podcast. I highly recommend getting in touch with Marcus. You can find all his details at bigpantsphoto.com/podcast. Follow him on Instagram, say what's up on Twitter, and let him know that Peach sent you. I have to apologize for not posting an episode last week. I had 2 guests lined up, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. At the end of the day, it's my fault for not being more organized, but I'm going to do 2 episodes this week to make up for it. Later in the week, I'll be posting what I'm going to be calling an in-between episode, and it's basically a shorter episode, hopefully around half an hour, where I'll cover a topic myself or with someone else. It'll be less of a biography like the full shows are. The full shows tend to have basically an artist spotlight and then a topic. This will just be a smaller topic, and it might even just be myself. I don't want it to sound like I'm someone who I'm not, because I don't want it to be like me teaching you. I just want to share some thoughts and opinions and things that have worked for me and have not worked for me, just through my experiences. So look out for my first in-between episode later in the week. If you like it, I'll do more, and we can turn this podcast into a bi-weekly show. I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. I'm learning so much week to week, and I'm having the best time doing it. If there's any guests or any person that you think might be a great fit for the show, I would love some recommendations or introductions. Find me on Facebook or Twitter and we can chat there. If you are liking the show so far, the best compliment I can get from you is a rating and a review on iTunes. It's pretty easy. It only takes a minute or two, and chances are you've already got an iTunes account. Thank you again so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.